It's Australia's own Sci-Fi Screen Awards, celebrating our favourite film and TV content from 2021. Join us now as we reveal Australia's best sci-fi. Welcome to the first annual Ion Sci-Fi Screen Awards. The Ions give Australians a chance to have their say on the sci-fi they like most, with this year's nominations covering film and TV content screened to Australian audiences in 2021. Nominations were made by our expert panel, which includes regular contributors to the show, who I'll be speaking to later. The winners of each category are decided jointly by the panel and our audience, who have been voting for their picks over the last few weeks. First up are the film categories, and joining me now to discuss the nominations is a member of the expert panel, Sydney Science Fiction Film Festival Director, Simon Foster. Simon, thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure to be here. You guys have done an amazing job with putting the awards together and making all this happen. So congratulations to you and Matt for bringing it all on board.
Well, what do you think about the nominations for the Ions?
It's a mixed bag. It's a really interesting bunch of films. There's some stuff in there that I didn't think was going to get nominated that maybe hadn't been noticed otherwise. Nora Arnazita's in there for The Colony, which was a very under-the-radar film. She's up for the Best Actor category, which is great to see. And some bolters in the end, which didn't feature in the nominations, things like Mitchells versus the Machines in the Best Picture and Free Guy along the way, which was a big box office hit, but didn't sort of win all the critics over. So yeah, it's been an interesting bunch of films.
And what do the nominations say about Aussie tastes in sci-fi? Is it different to the world, maybe?
That's interesting. I think there's still the very sort of high-level front runners, the Marvels and the DCU sort of films. I know we've got Zack Snyder's Justice League in there, The Eternals getting a nod. And The Eternals is an interesting one because it came out of a lot of negative reaction to it in the lead up to its cinema run, and a strong opening, but then not a lot of strong legs for it at the box office. But on the Disney Plus channel, it's been one of their most watched films. So to find it suddenly, the tone about how it's spoken about on the web and has changed considerably, which I'm all for because I thought it was a terrific film. So I'm glad to see it in the mix. As to whether our Australian tastes are different to overseas tastes, no, I don't think so. I think that the template that's rolled out across the world with science fiction over the last couple of years, the streaming services and what they promote and the big budget films and how they hit cinemas, that's become very much a global thing, and Australia are certainly caught up in that mix.
And one of the unique categories of the Ions is the character category. And we had some interesting nominations in there. What are your thoughts on that?
First of all, it's great that the categories have mixed film and television. I think that shows that both mediums are breaking new ground, and that's a huge step up for television over the recent years. Obviously, I think the front runner has to be Grogu from The Mandalorian. He was such a pop culture icon over the course of the last 12 months. Yeah, and to see Caleb Landry Jones, the young actor who had an incredible year last year, both in the Australian film Nitram and in the film Finch opposite Tom Hanks, where he, in motion capture suit, played the android Jeff, which is one of our character nominations. It shows the incredible way in which technology and traditional acting and performance work is being put together in that category. And yeah, I think it's really exciting. I'm very keen to see who wins that one because, yes, Grogu was right out front as a cultural icon for much of last year, but there's some great work in amongst them.
Now, the big categories, one of them, best film.
Oh boy.
Yeah, here we go. Tell us your thoughts.
Okay, so out the front, across all categories, the film with the most nominations is Dune, as has been the way with the film internationally at the awards circuit. As we record this, it's cooling a bit in the Oscar season. I don't think it's going to feature too heavily in any of the major categories. It'll probably sort of pick up a few of the technical awards, maybe Australian Greg Fraser for cinematography. But here in our awards bunch, we've got Dune, we've got The Matrix Resurrection, which was a surprise, I think, for a few. We've got Finch, We have got The Quiet Place Part 2, which was also a Bolton, not sort of nominated in any other categories. And then my absolute guilty pleasure last year was The Mitchells versus the Machines, the animated film from Netflix. So yeah, it's a really mixed bunch, very different from the production category, the film production category, which I think, all credit to, without blowing my own horn here, but all credit to our judging panel for being able to differentiate as to the skill that went into the production side of the filmmaking, and also the great narratives that were formed in films, which is what I think what the best film reflects. If I had to pick it, you'd probably have to say Dune amongst those five is gonna sort of just reach the zenith here in the Ion Sci-Fi Awards, but we'll wait and see. It's a great bunch of films.
Now, we were going to have an independent film category, and we were maybe going to work on that a bit more before we did. But, as someone who runs the Sydney Science Fiction Film Festival, what are your thoughts on independent film?
I am right in the midst of collating the films for this year's festival. We go out August 25 to 28 at Event Cinemas George Street, and then our first national screening season, September 2 and 3, at sites all around Australia. The independent filmmaking scene in science fiction is one of the most exciting in the world at the moment. Our submissions have only been open for just over a month. Yeah, maybe 6 weeks. And I've got upwards of 80 films, which are just incredible visions from all around the world, of all sorts of visions. We're finding, yes, certainly the pandemic is influencing a lot of narratives, maybe out of necessity because they had no other way of filming those sorts of stories, but also not just about pandemic type pictures. So it's going to be interesting to see how we work that element, which by the time our festival comes around in August, may seem like ancient history. I hope it certainly does. But yeah, no, the independent film scene is very exciting. And while I think in the future, there's definitely a place for the independent film category here amongst the Ion Sci-Fi Awards, there's such a vast scope to what's happening in the world of indie science fiction around the world. Let's sort of get over these first few awards, get over this first year of the Ion Sci-Fi Awards, and then really embrace the independent scene in years to come.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Simon.
Thank you so much for having me this year, being part of the judging committee. I can't wait to see which way the awards go. Like I say, there's some great films in there, and thank you to everyone out there who's voted as part of the Ion Sci-Fi Awards. It's great that you follow the genre. Do keep it up. Do get along to our festival. But thank you, Raymond, and thanks, Matt, for making me part of it.
Thanks, Simon. The first category is Best Actor in a Film. The nominations are Timothée Chalamet for Dune, Florence Pugh for Black Widow, Tom Hanks for Finch, Nora Anazeda for The Colony, Anna Kendrick for Stowaway. And the winner is Timothée Chalamet for Dune.
I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Where the fear is gone, only I will remain.
The next category is Best Production Film. This is a technical category recognizing the quality of production behind a film, including direction, cinematography, writing, effects, and everything else that goes into making a great sci-fi film, with the production team represented by the director. And the nominations are Dune, director Denis Villeneuve, Free Guy, director Sean Levy, The Matrix Resurrections, director Lana Wachowski, Zack Snyder's Justice League, director Zack Snyder, The Eternals, director Chloe Zhao. And the winner is Dune, director Denis Villeneuve.
The outsiders ravage our land. Their cruelty to my people is all I've known.
The ultimate film category is Best Film. It covers features and shorts, including animation, that were commercially released in Australia in cinemas or online. And the nominations are June, Denis Villeneuve, director. The Matrix Resurrections, Lana Wachowski, director. A Quiet Place Part 2, John Krasinski, director. The Mitchells vs. the Machines, Mike Rianda, director. Finch, Miguel Shapotnik, director. And the winner is June, Denis Villeneuve, director.
To the future of House Atreides.
You have to be ready.
There is no call we do not answer. There is no faith that we betray.
They're not human, they're brutal.
What if I'm not dead? You'll still be the only thing I ever needed you to be.
Come on!
My son. I know you.
And now a category that is unique to the Ions, Best Character. In this category, a sci-fi character is nominated rather than the actor playing them. So it would be Captain Kirk nominated in this category rather than William Shatner, for example. The award recognizes the development, writing, and portrayal of the character, so the actor is still important, but the category also includes CGI characters and inanimate objects. Nominations can come from either film or TV. This year's nominations are Grogu from The Mandalorian, Brother Dawn Day Dusk from Foundation, Sylvia Tilly from Star Trek Discovery, Yelena Belova from Black Widow, Jeff the Robot from Finch. And the winner is Brother Dawn Day Dusk from Foundation.
We should kill them. We can murder the men, but what about the movement, brother? Martyrs tend to have a long half-life.
His math was right.
The Empire is dying.
Turning now to the television categories, and I'm joined by another member of the IONS expert judging panel, North American correspondent Christian Baines. Thanks for joining us, Christian.
My pleasure, Raymond. Very glad to be here.
So what do you think of this year's nominations?
I think this year's nominations have been a major win for streaming services, particularly Apple. They've showed up with 3 of the 5 best TV series nominations, which is certainly reflective of their commitment to sort of high concept, adult geared sci-fi. We've seen that with Raised by Wolves. We've seen it with Foundation. We're seeing it with For All Mankind. So it's really no surprise to see Apple so dominant in the nominees. And we're also seeing a lot of love for the new Star Trek series, not just Star Trek Discovery, which of course is the kind of the flagship series of that property at the moment, but also Star Trek Lower Decks, which has a really fervent fan base as well. So I'd like to say it is a little surprising that we don't see The Expanse in the list of nominees for Best TV Show for this year. But maybe that is just a slight reflection in what people are craving, something a little bit lighter after 2 years of dealing with a pandemic. Just to get such a dark backdrop, maybe a grittier series like The Expanse just isn't what people were feeling right now. But be that as it may, it is well represented in some of the other categories, and we've got a good variety of different series nominated across, series and film nominated across the board.
Now, it appears that only one nominee is on free-to-air, and that is Resident Alien. What does that tell you about where sci-fi is coming from these days?
I think sci-fi, like all kinds of television and content at the moment, it's heading in an inevitable direction. The streamers have taken over. They've aggressively expanded into the market of both, certainly features to an extent, and definitely Netflix is hungry for its first Best Picture win this year, and it looks like it may get it with Power of the Dog. But with series, that's where they can really draw in subscribers and create a more committed and loyal audience. So I don't think it's a surprise at all to see the streamers doing so well. You and I mentioned before, Apple, and you and I have discussed this in the past before, have 3 of our best TV series nominees. The other 2 being Star Trek, which already has a loyal fan base. So that shows a really strong commitment on Apple's behalf for quality sci-fi and quality genre content. They've made that their niche and they've served it extremely well. So yeah, I think it's just a good reflection of where things are headed after all. On the whole, I don't think that free-to-air or indie cable is completely dead yet, as we're seeing with Resident Alien continuing to do very well. But there's definitely, the winds are definitely headed in a certain direction, and that is the way of streaming.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Christian.
You're very welcome, Raymond. Thank you so much for having me.
And the first TV category is Best Actor. The nominations are Dominic Tipper, The Expanse, Amazon Prime; Alan Tudyk, Resident Alien, 9 Now; Bae Doona, The Silent Sea, Netflix; Joel Kinnaman, For All Mankind, Apple TV+; Golshifteh Farahani, Invasion, Apple TV+. And the winner is Dominic Tipper, The Expanse.
We must remember the lives we've lost, the pain we've suffered. Because with every new attack, Inaros' power grows.
You and I were meant to be out here in the darkness, in the fight.
Best Production TV is a technical category recognizing the achievements of the production team behind a TV series, including producers, directors, writers, designers, and everyone else that makes sci-fi possible on television. That's a lot of people. So the production team is represented in the nominations by the series showrunner. And the nominations are Foundation, showrunners David S. Goyer and Josh Friedman; Cutler, showrunner Sigurjon Kjartansson; For All Mankind, showrunner Ronald D. Moore; The Expanse Season 5, showrunner Naren Shankar; Star Trek Discovery Season 4, showrunner Michelle Paradise. And the winner is Foundation, showrunners David S. Goyer and Josh Friedman.
Wars will be endless. 1,000 worlds reduced to cinders.
Change is frightening, especially to those in power.
And now for the ultimate TV category, Best Television. This category is open to any made-for-TV sci-fi series, miniseries, or movie that was available to Australian audiences during 2021. And the nominations are For All Mankind Season 2, Apple TV+; Foundation, Apple TV+; Star Trek Discovery Season 4, Paramount+; Star Trek Lower Decks, Amazon Prime; Invasion, Apple TV+. And the winner is Foundation, Apple TV+.
Many years from now, if humanity is to climb from the ashes, the coming generations will need the knowledge to build upon, a foundation.
We must preserve only the most essential pieces of civilization, deciding what is remembered, what is forgotten.
We are now staring down a barrel of a crisis.
This is the plan.
Congratulations to this year's winners. We'll be taking a break for the next few weeks, returning in April. In the meantime, you can continue to get your sci-fi news at ionsci-fi.com.